Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Judge Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today I am going to be talking about weird frontiers for Dungeon Crawl Classics, and this will be my first look at the actual game system, the books that I got via Drive-Through RPG, along with the PDF. And let me talk a little bit about my experience with this game. So I first encountered this game in April of this year at Rising Phoenix Games Convention, which I'm actually wearing the T-shirt right here from it, and I had an absolute ball playing this game. I mean, it was so much fun. It was a 3.5 hour session. My first character died in such an extraordinary fashion. There were so many things going on with this game, and I give full credit to the game master or judge, to the other players at the table, and by far it was one of my best performances as a player with a player character that I had just encountered, within minutes of, sitting down at the table and made my selection of the character and just rolled with it. The scenario was awesome, and it just opened it up. I mean, the way the system is set up, and the kind of just outside the box, uh, at least in my experience with this kind of a game, was just so enjoyable. Absolutely loved it. Now, at the time, he was saying like he had one volume that was as thick as these two, right? So I believe that he had an earlier printing of it that was all 900 plus pages in one book. But now it comes out in in hardcover on drive through, and you get two separate books with this. But the PDF is the full 900 plus pages long. Because of the length of this game and how much time I actually want to put into, um, you know, talking about this game on my channel, this is going to be broken down into quite a number of videos. Um, I haven't quite laid it out yet, but as I go through the table of contents and then the very introduction of the concepts of the game, you will see where I'm kind of leaning towards as far as the number of videos potentially I will have with this particular series. So, without further ado, let's start taking a look at Weird Frontiers for Dungeon Crawl Classics. So, as I mentioned, it is 908 pages, and it is by David Beatty. I guess that's how you pronounce his name. If not, I'm sorry. And it starts off with some frequently referenced tables, and these are certainly something that I would print out and hand to a table of players. So certainly something that I would give to all of them. Weird Frontiers core rulebook. All right, so created and written by David Bailey. I mean, huge book here. Contributing writers. You can see quite a number of people that are involved with this. Some of the names I actually recognize. Um, Peter C. Spawn, I've seen before. So, and a lot of these are probably associated with Goodman Games as well. So you might see some crossover between the two. These are the contributing artists, so plenty of artists involved with this as well. And then looks like two editors, and we get to the table of contents. So one thing that I've become very, very spoiled with this is that I really got spoiled with hyperlinked table of contents, and so that's the one thing that's not here that I wish was. So that's one thing that they should certainly work on if they ever do a newer version of this. So chapter one is a welcome, and it's talking about the 7 days of night. So it's a short introductory story. Um, I will mention that this game is set in an alternate history of our real world. All right, so it starts off in 1865 at the end of the Civil War, and the Civil War comes to an end quite abruptly because of the weird frontiers aspect of it. So not its genuine overturn of events, at that time, but caused by this. So some people might find that objectionable. It is a fantasy, science fiction, horror kind of thing. So not meant to be taken too seriously. So let's just leave it at that. I'm sure that it's also not written for people, other than, PG-13 plus or whatever. So anyone should be able to handle what you're going to encounter in this. So chapter one, the welcome, and I will go through this, and this will be several videos, right? So this one chapter alone, I'm going to cover what the 7 days of night is, and hitting the trail. I'm not going to read the Trapper's Tale, but it's a piece of fiction that helps kind of put the whole thing into context for you. But I will take care of character creation all the way through occupations, most likely in a separate video. Um, and then I'll talk about level advancement, XP, weapons training, and the path systems in a separate video. Um, a whole video on just the character classes. A video on the rules, and one on magic, one on the section for the judges rules, so the GM tools and such. And that's pretty much, I mean, I will talk about, you see it's starting to expand as I'm looking through, because I see magic items. I may or may not do something with magic items. The bestiary, I will show you some of the really cool ones, and probably combine that up along with the magic items if I want to go that route. And then let's see, I will not do a video on the adventures because I don't want to spoil anything. It appears that there's two main adventures in this. It looks like there's the Death Crawls West, and then the Lost Souls Canyon, and then the appendix. So let's go in to the special thanks. I will skip over that for purposes of this video. Here's the sensitivity statement, and I kind of encapsulated this. um, Using real life history in the games is always problematic, but they're not using real life history. They're using an altered universe kind of thing. So I mean, they're coming off a little bit too apologetic here, I think, and just talking about the atrocities of the American Civil War and all of its related matter. And bottom line is that it's set in an alternate universe, if you like, not just an alternate timeline, but it's really an alternate universe. And so, um, again, it's nothing to be very vexed about or struggle with or anything like that. So we go through, and you can see the art. I mean, the art is pretty cool. Let me shrink that down a little bit. Um, then the introduction. And the introduction just goes, "Howdy, stranger, gossip at the campfire. Has it you plan to throw a settle on that old flea bag and hit the trail hoping to make a dent in the rising tide of darkness threatening the frontier. Well, it wouldn't be fair to send you on your way without some words of wisdom and basic survival rules for when you get thrown into the thick of it with your posse. So listen up. Welcome to the frontier. So, yeah, you're going to be fighting otherworldly things, right? Like zombies and aliens and such. Um, the basic premise of it was that the during the uh, period of the American Civil War, Nel-Yarlathotep, all right, a Cthulhu mythos um, elder god decided to wake up all of these dark forces on in the Midwest there on the in the United States and in Mexico and other surrounding areas. And so both the Union Army and the Confederates ended up having a common foe, and so they turned to fighting this common foe rather than continuing their own conflict. So, and that's kind of what it goes about. So that's setting up the 7 days of night, right? So I will read this to you. It's fairly short. So Weird Frontiers begins with an alternate ending to the Civil War in 1865. Nel Yarlathotep, can't say that. A legendary elder god seizes the opportunity to awaken his slumbering brothers and sisters and free them from dimensional exile with a living tomb called the Necromonicon. The grimoire is filled with forbidden lore, including the ancient rituals needed to bring about an event comparable to a biblical apocalypse. A cabal of cultists dedicated to the forgotten gods and entrusted with the tomb head off into Mexico territory to bring about the end of all things. This week long period of rituals would become known as the 7 Days of Night due to the lunar eclipse and its accompanying astral phenomena. During the series of rituals, the twisted cabal awoke long dormant elder gods, now painfully aware of their imprisonment. However, they would only partially succeed at opening the gates to set them free. Unbeknownst to the cult, a posse of Texas Rangers led by modern day Knights Templar was hot on their trail. The posse discovered the cabal mid ceremony and cut them down like dogs. The Necromonicon escaped destruction as it always has, scattering itself so that each page flew on summoned arcane winds to the darkest corners of the earth. Though the elder gods were prevented from entering our realm, several lesser things found passage through, including an anthropic energy known as the taint that would permanently twist and shape our world and its inhabitants. Much like an organism attempts to fight off, much like an organism attempts to fight off a virus, Earth responded by awakening long dormant key lines brimming with arcane energies. These ley lines these ley lines pulsed during the 7 days of night, attempting to repel the sickness caused by the taint and continue to do so during the random times. As a side effect of these pulses, common folks are kissed by the supernatural, often finding themselves imbued with extraordinary abilities that forever change their lives, some for the better, others for the worse. As a player, you assume the role of such a hero, fighting against an ever growing ancient evil that's found purchase in a wounded country still recovering from what would become the bloodiest war in American history. And so there you have the basic premise. Then there is there's to hit the trail. So, tools of the trade. So, these are what you need to both play and run Weird Frontiers. You will need a deck of playing cards, and they suggest that you get, a fairly cheap deck. It's fine. If you can, get one for every player at the table, so that they have a deck of cards that do come into play from time to time. So Weird Frontiers uses a standard deck of playing cards with the Jokers shuffled in. A handful of mechanics found within the pages of this game use playing cards, but their primary use is for the gun deck. All right, so anytime you're firing a gun, you would pull a card, and that would have a random action attached to it. Poker chips. One mechanic implemented in Weird Frontiers is boons and hexes, a fun system that throws both good and bad mojo a player's way during a typical session. Poker chips work best and add to the Western feel of the game. Two colors are all you need, and white and black fit the bill best. Funky dice. So funky dice, you're probably familiar with these. These are the Dungeon Crawl Classics dice. There's a complete set of 14 dice. There are the seven very typical ones, and then there's the D3, the D5, the D7, the D14, the D16, the D24, and the D30. You have the typical dice of the D4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 20. All right, so rounding it out. You can use the standard set of polyhedron dice in the following manner to achieve the same results. For a D3, you roll D6 and you count 1 and 2 as a 1, 3 and 4 as a 2, and 5 and 6. And if you've been around long enough, you know how to do all of these little conversions and such. For a D24, roll a D12 and a D6. If the six-sider is odd, add the 12 to the 1d12 roll for a d30, and they go through just the various conversions and such. These dice, I looked at them online and everything. You can get them for as cheaply as like $7 or $8 for the set. You can get the whole set of 14 for I just purchased them for like $12, even though I already had a set. For some reason, I couldn't find a couple of the specialty dice that I didn't have. You'll need a character sheet, and it is only optional, but the Dungeon Crawl Classics RPG might also be helpful, but it's not required. All right, and this is all compatible with Dungeon Crawl Classics, and it is fully self-contained. Though, like I said, it's only optional to get Dungeon Crawl Classics RPG, but if you have it already, then this is a great supplement to it. The core mechanics. All right, so if you roll equal to or higher than a DC or AC, you succeed, otherwise, you fail. If you roll an unmodified 1, it's an automatic failure, is a fumble, and brings some degree of disaster, depending upon the task at hand. Rolling an unmodified 20 or a natural 20 is an automatic critical success. Additional game mechanics can modify the rolls, whether they be fumble tables, critical hit charts, boons, hexes, luck, and more. Rattling the chain. So this is really cool. Rattling the chain or weird dice. Players new to DCC or Weird Frontiers are in for a treat if they enjoy rolling those odd-shaped dice that often find themselves orphaned in the bag during a session. Weird Frontiers RPG uses the dice change during gameplay in several ways. The typical game assigns a positive or a negative number that modifies the die roll in question. So, for example, a +1 to attack or a +3 to damage. The dice chain adds an element of fun. Anytime you see a D behind the modifier, you will move up or down to the next die size instead of using the normal die for the attempted action. For example, you'd normally roll a d20 for an attack roll, but you may but maybe the judge determines you've got a jump on the carnivorous jackalope, turning your buddy into victuals, and gives you a +1 die modifier. That d20 now moves up the chain to become a d24. As a judge becomes more comfortable with dice chains, you'll find that it's intuitive tool useful for many situations during a session. So you can up the die amount if they have an advantage, and you can lower the die amount if they have some kind of a difficulty or a disadvantage applied to it. Now, I know when I played, I actually had one of my second character actually, because the first one died in heroic and extraordinary fashion. But my second one was a sharpshooter, like a gunslinger, and he had the ability of just rapid firing his revolver. And so, with that ability, he would roll 6 attack rolls to see if he hit with each. And as long as he didn't fumble on any of them, he could fire the next round in that order, right? So the first one was a D24. So I was attacking with the D24. My second shot was with the D20. My third was with a D16, then a D14, then a D12, and finally with a D10. All right. Now, each time that I was firing, I was also pulling because from the deck gun or gun deck, I'm sorry, from the gun deck, and that's the poker cards, and that was also modifying my chances. And if I recall correctly, I had gotten down to about the D12 when I pulled from the gun deck. I had a misfire that damaged the gun, and so I couldn't fire anymore. So I was intending to go from 24 all the way down to 10. And if I recall correctly, it was around the D12. I think that my gun jammed and I couldn't do anything. Even though it was a revolver, it jammed. um, and I couldn't fire off those last rounds. Uh, that character, by the way, ended up getting killed as well. So I had 2 character deaths in one game session at a game convention, and it was absolutely glorious. So, like I said, the Trapper's Tale. I'm not going to go through and read this whole thing to you, but it's a nice little touch that they have in here to kind of give the player, and the judge a good sense of what this game is supposed to feel like. And then in the next video, we'll start talking about character creation. So, as you can see, I mean, I'm really excited to bring this to the channel and to talk to you, about this game. Like I said, it's 2 huge books. I got them as part of a sale, a bundle sale. So I think overall I spent about $100. They would have been 120, so I saved about $10 a book. Plus, I got the PDF, which you were just seeing there. So it's got the full 909-page PDF along with the 2 hardcovers. And initially, I was like, I don't think I'm going to have space for this thing. Um, you know, when the judge at the game table told us that it's very hard to find this in physical copy anymore, I was kind of dejected. I was like, oh man, I would really have loved it. But then I was looking at the size, and I was like, I don't know, it's going to take up so much shelf space. Even though I intend to run this game probably at my next convention that I go to. So I was like a little bit off, and I was like, you know what? Unfortunately, I don't think that I'll have the space for it, and wasn't finding it anyway. Then, so this was in April. Now, a couple weeks later, I go and I look at it. I see that there's a sale for it on Drive Through RPG for a bundle, and I was like, well, wait, they have the hardcovers. And so I ordered the hardcovers, and now I have them. Now, like I said, it comes in 2 separate books, but I think that PDF is a combined of both books. So really cool game, really cool find. I'm going to once again, close out this video with something I've been saying, um, for a very long time and in a lot of videos. If you're new to the hobby, don't get um, don't get bogged down into just one game, one game system, one game company, one genre of role playing game that's out there. Always look to um, expand your experience. You want to try as many game systems as you can. If you're going to your first if you're going to your first gaming convention in person, or if it's your 31st, when you go there, look to play games that you've never played before. Look to play genres that you haven't tried before, and just try to expand your experience. It is going to make you a better player. It's going to make you a better game master, and you're going to meet a larger variety of players and GMs out there, because a lot of people do get bogged down with running the systems that they know the best, and they run them all the time. So you're going to get the most experience with that particular player, or game master. You're going to get them hopefully at their best with the game that they're most familiar with, but you're going to change it up and keep on going to different GMs and different game systems and genres and such, because it's a growing experience throughout the entire um, weekend. So that's my advice to you. If you're new to the hobby, expand your horizons as quickly as possible. Don't allow yourself to get bogged down with one game and one game system and one genre. Uh, just constantly look out there for other things that just might spark your interest, and jump right into it. Before April 21st of 2023, I never heard of this game. All right. I saw it. I was like, I'm signing up for that game, and it was the first time seeing it. It was probably only like the second or third time that I was actually playing Dungeon Crawl Classics or something compatible with the Dungeon Crawl Classics. So I wasn't a complete newbie to it, but this genre and this particular game just blew my socks off. I was like, I love this thing. So I encourage you to continue following along and looking throughout other games and everything. My channel is really dedicated to showing you a great variety of games. And so, if that's something that you're looking for, then this is the place that, hopefully you'll consider subscribing, and hit the bell so that you'll get the alert button, the alerts when new videos go up. Uh, this one, even though it's the late afternoon or evening, actually, that I'm recording this, I'm going to post this tomorrow morning, because I did a video earlier on this afternoon, and I like to give them about 12 hours to breathe, basically. Um, so this is going to hit tomorrow morning, and I have to start getting ready for my AD&D First Edition game that's going to be in roughly an hour and a half. So thanks for joining. I hope you like this video. I'm going to create a new playlist, and you'll be able to follow the half dozen to dozen videos that this thing is going to end up taking me to actually get through this entire massive book. And I'm not even talking about the second book as well. I would have to see if that truly is a included in the PDF that I have. I believe it is, but we'll see. Um, as always, thanks for joining. I hope you like this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen, or perhaps in a live table at an upcoming convention sometime soon. Have a great evening.